Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Behind the Reel. This is episode 45. We have done 45 of these things, and today we have the first ever winner of a Kansas Kayak Anglers event. So, our first ever event was out at the Mineland Wildlife Area, and only one person can say that they won the first ever. So, today we're joined by Mr. Mike Marvel, and we're going to talk about how he was able to get it done out there. Not only did he win the solo side, but he also helped his team with a team event win. 6 fish total for 178 inches. His single 5 fish limit was 92 inches. So we're going to bring him on and talk about that here in just a little bit. Make sure you guys are interacting with us tonight. We will be getting to your questions over there in the live feed. There's a comment section over there that you guys can engage with us in. So if you have any questions, if maybe there is something that you want to hear us talk about, make sure you put that over there in the comments. We greatly appreciate that. Recently hit 1,000 subscribers, so we're already creeping up over 1,000 on our way to 2,000. And I appreciate you guys all tuning in over the last year and a half or so, 2 years, however long we've been doing this. The podcast has been a really big contributing factor to viewership and watch hours, and those are the things that YouTube really looks at. So, when we started this thing, I wanted to basically give a platform to guys that are fishing the local events. There's a lot of podcasts out there to choose from, and a lot of them are giving you information on more of the national circuits, and that's awesome. And I love to watch those and listen to those as well. But I also wanted this to serve as a way to introduce people to the sport here in the area. So, definitely first and foremost, this is for my Kansas guys, Midwest guys, and we will branch out. But this is awesome. I'm really glad that the season is kicked off. For the Kansas Kayak Anglers, we're going to start bringing a lot more local guys back on the show. And just happy to be monetized now, something I will share with you guys. I may end up quitting my day job. YouTube has already committed to paying me $1.81. So, just, watch out. So I'm going to be rich in no time. But anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring Mike on. And we're going to get right to it. I've got 20 people on here already watching, and that's awesome. We're just kicking off the show. Guys, I don't see any comments over there, wherever it is. I think it's over here. Throw some comments in there. Let us know what you guys want to hear. I know you want to hear me stop talking, so I'm going to bring Mike on. Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, John?
I like that fancy chain. It's hard to ignore.
I got this new necklace that picked up a couple weeks ago, and
yeah,
it's hard to be humble with this thing around your neck, but I got to do my best.
Heck yeah. First ever Kansas Kayak Anglers win. What do you think about that? Do you feel some pressure?
Absolutely not. No pressure whatsoever.
Okay.
I don't. It's kind of one of those things where the blind squirrel found a nut, and it is what it is. There's no pressure on me. I've got no bullseye anywhere near me.
Okay. All right. Well, it does remind me, you being so, I don't think humble's the right word after, the jewelry around your neck here. But DJ last year, when we brought him on, he kind of played it off like he didn't know what he was doing, and then he won AOY. He walked away with AOY. So
that's
I just
not
think,
me.
These guys, like the guys in the comment section here, I think they might have something to worry about. I think that's just part of your game plan, just so you can catch everybody off guard.
I think I just spent a couple years sleeping and playing them up. That would be a good show. Literal, I can't believe you did that to me. I've known Dustin since I was a little bitty kid. He was my first baseman. Lives out in California now. One of the guys that kind of was promoting kayak fishing when I got started. So it's good to see him on. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks guys. We got some comments heating up over there. like always. Appreciate that, guys. Uh, Stephen Davis just compared you to Flavor Flav.
That's what I was going for. If I had a big old clock on
Yeah,
this thing, I could probably drill a hole and put a
there you
dial
go.
in there and make it a clock.
What do you think about that thing? That's a pretty sweet plaque.
Kevin Kerr did a wonderful job with these. Him and
Yeah,
his students, they're gorgeous,
yeah, they
real
are
nice.
very
Both of
nice.
them, both of them are gorgeous.
Yeah, you got two of them. You got two of them. What before we get too far into the event out there at the Mineland Wildlife Area, just give us kind of a brief rundown how you got into kayak fishing. How you got into fishing maybe originally, and then we'll kind of just go from there.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in South Central Kansas, Ark City, Kansas. Uh, really fishing farm ponds. Had my best friend was his family had a bunch of land, and we fished farm ponds, we fished rivers, we fished creeks. It was kind of that thing, and always loved fishing, always getting out into just nature and enjoying it, and kind of grew apart. You get older, you get into the professional scene. You get family coming along, and you just kind of drift away from it. And a couple years ago, one of the guys at work, Justin Buchanan, who some of these
Yeah.
guys would know, Justin has been kayak fishing for a few years, and
Yeah.
he kind of was talking about a tournament, one of the Southeast Kansas tournaments, and I think he'd won Farlington or something, and was talking about it at work one day, and said, man, that kayak fishing seems like it'd be something fun. I don't have to have a boat. I could throw this thing on my car, go wherever I wanted, drop in and fish, which is kind of what I needed. Something I could get quick in and out and get back to the family or get back to work or get back to whatever. And so that's kind of where it came from. I went and bought a big rig, a Jackson big rig in central Missouri. It had a little island hopper trolling motor on it. Got back all amped up and ready to fish, and Jacob says, sorry, buddy, you don't get trolling motors in this league. So I went out without it, tried paddling around at Bone Creek one day, blew into every single tree, broke a rod. It was the worst experience, I think, of my life. And
Mhm.
I ended up trading that. I traded it with Andy Webb. He had a little Jackson Bite FD up in Kansas City. We met halfway, and he took the big rig, and I got the Bite with the pedal drive. And I think 2 weeks later, Jacob said, "Hey, next season we're going to be using trolling motors." So we're back full circle to where I could have been on that big rig. I'm a big guy. I kind of needed the bigger kayak, but it's all good.
Yeah.
So this is really my second full year of kayak fishing. I fished a little bit in 2020. Most of the tournaments were online. They were COVID tournaments, so we didn't really meet in person. The ones I went to, and so last year was the first year. Didn't really have much success. Got third at the season championship. That was my best individual. And Travis and I,
Out of Greenfield?
no, this was the year before. It was
okay.
at Lacine.
Oh, that one was tough, wasn't it?
It was tough. Yep. Yeah. Of course, Brooke, he can be up there joking. He won it, of course, and had big bass as usual. I think Logan Meyer got second, and I ended up in third. And then last year, the only success I really had, Travis and I, the two fat guys fishing, we won the Farlington event, and that's been it. So this was kind of a shocker.
Okay. Now, when you came into the tournament day comes, were you confident? Where was your mindset? What
Oh
kind of
no,
preparation
no.
had you done?
Uh, the big thing with the pits, and I'm sure a lot of these guys can relate to this. A lot of the pits have fish. A lot of the pits have little fish. Some of the pits have big fish. Some of the pits are easy to fish, and some of them are not easy to fish. And the pit that I'm going to go to is a pit that I've fished twice before. I had decent luck there. Didn't place, didn't do any good. But I caught fish, and there's a shallow water that it goes all over the place. There's a super shallow area. There's an area where it's 60 feet deep. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. But talking to Dakota afterwards, guys that know how to fish a lot of the time steer away from that pit because it's pretty finicky and you got to have the right conditions. So, no, I mean, we go into it. Trevor and Travis and I went kind of road cruising on Friday night just to see who all was out, stop and talk to some people, kind of welcome to the area. You know, a lot of the people that come down the night before aren't locals, so
Yeah.
they're out feeling it out, trying to see. And so we stopped and chatted with some people, and just say what's up. And Trevor's, of course, not going to tell us as part of one of the other teams. He's not going to tell us where he's fishing. And Travis and I both are going to fish the same pit. That's one that we've both fished before. And Travis actually last year's tournament when all the teams came together,
Yeah,
Travis had, I think he ended up in fourth or third place. He ended up third.
Yeah,
I think, and I think that he was mad at you because you kept referring to him as fourth place, and he was in third when he was on the podcast. So I just can rib him a little bit on. There you go. But he did well in the pit, and we kind of fished two different areas. And he's a lot of brains. He gets in, he studies, he's looking at water temperatures, he's down scouting, trying to figure out what's going on. I know those guys went down, several of them went down and fished the weekend before, and I think the water temps were in the 60s or low 60s, high 50s, and it was a completely different ball game when we got down there Saturday morning.
Yeah. What were you seeing water temp wise?
51, I think, is kind of where when we put in, it was low 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting my electronics out. I took them out of the water after a while. I was fishing shallow and really didn't need them. But yeah, when it caught up with the outside from the air temperature to the water temperature, I think it was 51 in the pit I was in. Yeah. How cold would you say the water was in the pit you were in, John?
What my graph said, or
no, what your legs said.
50. I think we got up to 54 by the time I had my little accident. I should have had the snippet. I thought
you were going to play that video.
I forgot to do that. And actually, I guess we can. What we'll do here, that actually gives us a great little. We'll veer off. Okay, so here we are. We're at the strip pits, Mineland Wildlife Area, and let's go look at some of your fish here. Okay, so what we got here, can you see that on the screen?
Yep.
I just want to make sure, because last time I was blabbing and you guys couldn't see what I was talking about. But as you can see here, we got Mike up here on the very top. We've got our.
Where's Trevor's not even on that screen. Never mind. He's way down there.
Scrolling down. Okay.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Okay. I'm just making sure.
Okay. We don't need to look for John. We don't need to worry about that. So first fish. So is this the first fish you caught?
No, it's not. So go scroll over to fish 4 and hover over that 18. That should be at like 7:00 in the morning.
Yep. 7:10.
7:05. I catch this one. Oh, it's cold. So, I think you said low 30s last week when you were talking. It was 29 on my car when I showed up.
Yep.
Saturday morning. So it was cold, and I don't like the cold, but I've got extra clothing on. I look like the little kid from the Christmas Story, Ralphie's little brother, running around all puffed up. And there's a spot in this pit that I like to fish, but I thought it would be too cold, real shallow. But there's a bait that I like to throw, and I won't mention them because they're not one of our sponsors, unlike River to Sea and the Whopper Plopper that I caught this one with.
Okay. Listen, you can mention non-sponsor. I don't have any problem with that.
I just want to give them some props for sponsoring the KKA. I think.
Shout out to River to Sea. Absolutely. They're very generous.
So I throw a little weedless top water in this area. There's a lot of grass. There's a lot of stuff floating, and a Whopper Plopper, even though I love throwing it, it's hard for me to fish it back there because I'm caught up every other cast. I'm not a good fisherman, so I don't cast where I want to. So I'm caught in the grass a lot. So long story short, they're hitting this little top water, but they're not really biting it. And it's like they want to hit it, but I think the water was just so cold that they were stupid, which gives me an advantage because I can play stupid. And so I decided I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna throw the whopper plopper, and first cast it hits this 18, and I think here we go. So then 17 casts later, after I've cleaned the grass out every other time, um, I get another one. I get a 16 and a half, and I think here we go. I'm lit. I'm gonna blow this up. And one more cast about 5 minutes later, I get hit, and it doesn't hit it. It doesn't bite it. The sun's starting to come up fully at this point, and everything is dead. So if you see my fish on this, you'll see we go from the 18 at like 7:05 to my next fish that I register is after 11:30. So it's a long morning, and it's a long morning of once again, I'm not in this thinking I've got any shot at anything, but I'm in a team tournament, so I want to get 3 good fish, and I've got to step up. I kind of ham boned my partner at Big Hill last year in the first team tournament. He was on some dinks, and I couldn't get a third fish, and so we went from, we should have been probably 4th or 5th, and I think we got 8th or 9th in team. I don't know. Travis probably remembers. He's got it written down somewhere. He throws a dart at it all the time. So I know I've got to get another fish, and so I get on Tourney X, and my coverage was pretty spotty. So I've got the one fish registered. I've got a 16 and a half in there still that I didn't even put on the board. I lost signal after I caught it, but I did see that Travis at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock has already posted 83 inches, and
nice.
He's sitting in first. And I'm thinking, what in the world? Now I know where he's I know where he's fishing, and I know what he's fishing with.
Same pit, right?
Same pit. He's just in a different spot, and I got to be careful here because
is this a big pit? See, we need. I know you can't give away the pit.
This is it.
If it's big enough to where you guys can't see each other, I mean.
I have no idea where he is. I can't see him. No, it's big. It's one that if you're paddling, you're probably not. You're not probably going to this pit. So.
Okay.
Most of the locals know us. Some of the guys are like, I drove by, I saw your car. But here's the thing. In the strip pit tournament, we'll probably come back here every year. So I can't give this pit away completely.
Okay.
So
I'm going back there next year.
I'll always go back there only because I have never had luck at any of the other pits. I've caught a few fish here and there, but
question, CBG. Does my mic sound any better? I had a AC unit going on in the background, and I'm a little ways away from my mic, but just let me know in the comments if you would, or anybody. Does it sound any better? All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
You sound good to me.
Okay.
So I decide I'm going to start fishing the rest of this pit, and I get to fishing. I'm not seeing anything. I've got a nice electronic setup. I don't see anything in the water. I'm not even seeing bait fish. There's nothing jumping. There's nothing. I'm not seeing it at 60 feet. I'm not seeing 40 feet, 30 feet. I'm not seeing hardly anything. So I just mosey my way through this giant pit, and I fish every spot that I think looks good. And there's some lines hanging, or there's some trees hanging over. There's some timber that's in the water, and I'm not catching anything. I'm not seeing anything. Mm-hmm. So I mosey my way back, and I see where Travis is, and I'm letting him fish, and I don't even try to go near him. I just kind of let him do his thing, and I keep fishing, knowing I need that third fish. That really was all I was pulling for. And so about an hour later, Travis comes around to me and says, man, I was on them early, but they've died off. And I think they died off for a lot of people. There was a 3-hour stretch there, bluebird skies, there's no wind at all. And so we're just kind of fishing. And I tell him, I'm stuck at 2. I need a third one. And he said, man, I hope you get something. About that time, I catch a 10-inch right in front of him, and so I've got my 3 fish, and I'm not feeling great about that 10, but at least I've got my 3. That's all I could really pull for. So he wanders off, and I keep fishing, and eventually I end up in the spot where he was to begin with. Well, it happens to be that I end up in the spot where he is when the wind picks up, and they just hammered it, and it was nonstop. I caught 16, I caught 15, I caught 18, I caught 17, I caught 16, I caught a 19 and a half or 19 and a quarter, whatever it was. I just can't. There's little pockets where the grass kind of grows around.
Small ones too?
No, not really. The smallest was probably a 14 and a half. And the 14 and a half I thought was actually the biggest one. That one fought better than any of them. When I pulled it up, I thought, you got to be kidding me.
Here's the 19 and a half here. We put them upside down because we want to confuse you guys. We don't want you to figure out what pit it is. So
that's right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and you can see, I don't even have my screen on, my live scope sitting inside the kayak. I've got no electronics out there.
So you're live scoping. You didn't live scope any of these fish?
No, not a single. No, I didn't even have. I hadn't had it on since 11 o'clock that morning. All my electronics were off completely.
Interesting.
So yeah, I got into an area. So kind of the way it was there's these little. You've seen them in the pits. There's little coves where the mine they dig out, and so stop. Every opening, and you got to take this back to, I am very dumb when it comes to fishing. So it's just a matter of things I've watched, and I kind of get what's happening. There were some bait jumping out in the shallow area. So there were, I think they were males chasing bait, and the females were out a little deeper in 6 to 8 feet of water, and they were ambushing them. And so I was fishing a little jig that looked like a bait fish with a little trailer on it that looked like a bait fish. And almost every cove that I fished in that I came out to the 6 to 8 feet area, I would get drilled. So I had one spot, there was a little lay down. I had one spot where I caught an 18 and a half. The next cast, I caught a 16 and a half. The next cast, I caught a 15 and a half. It just happened to be, I tried to say this, it happened to be the right place at the right time. When the wind picked up, all of a sudden the fish started biting. And I got blown into every bank. Every time I caught a fish, I was stuck on the side in the mud because I the excitement of catching the fish, I don't even pay attention to where I'm going. And so it just turned out well. So the best part of this is
what motor do you have?
I've got a little Jackson E-drive that goes in place of my pedals. So I've got the Fat Man's pedal drive right there. And
no spot lock though.
No. So you just pull that off, pull the pedals off, and the little E-drive goes in place, and it's basically like a drill motor that just runs there. So yeah, whatever.
Nobody's buying it. I mean, Travis said something, and he said always acting like he doesn't know anything.
Here's the thing. Daniel wasn't there. Oh yeah, absolutely. Second place in a Bassmaster tournament.
That's big behind you, Gregory. That's big. Good job, Danny.
Yeah,
but I'm not buying it either. I think that this is all just, part of his scheme. He's like, he's decided this is the year. He's just been waiting for his opportunity. And, he's got the spotlight on him right now. So he's just, he doesn't want him to be viewed as a threat. I get it.
Yeah. Let me tell you this. If I didn't win a tournament or place at some point in time, my wife was going to sell all my fishing gear.
Yeah.
It's just, I'd come home from a tournament. She'd go, "How'd it go?" And I go, "Oh, I did it really bad." And she finally looked at me one day and goes, "Why do you keep doing this? You're not catching fish. You're not anything." And I think, well, it's nice to be out in nature, enjoying, what's been created out there. So that's kind of my thing. You get out on the water.
Out on the Air Capital page yesterday.
I saw that. Bree had a nice little zinger off for you.
Yeah, that's her. That's what she does. No, she always she gives me crap if I don't win, and I don't win. I just don't.
Oh, whatever, Daniel. Hey, I that's one thing. I love sharing that. So nice work, buddy. Big giant lake, and you showed up a lot of really good fishers.
Did definitely. So you're in this. You're just in this pot of fish,
So
and you're
so
getting blown all over the banks.
here's kind of how it's going. So I land that 18 and a half or whatever it is, and I think I've got three good fish. I'm going to help out the team. So then they
Mhm.
just kept biting, and then I get the 19 and a half, and I think, holy moly, I've just upgraded again. And the last fish I catch is at like 115 and 17 and 3/4. And I think I I don't know how this just happened, but I know Travis has probably got a little more than he's showing on the board, but I've got a lot more than what he's showing on the board now. And so I'm thinking to myself, this is great, but I'm also I mean, there's a lot of good people that people that know how to fish that are down here, and people that, some of those Northeast guys had good luck down here last year. I
Mhm.
think Cole Spriggs placed both times this year. Austin might have placed both times. So Grumpy Fish or Grumpy Tackle, that
Yeah,
some of those guys that
weren't from the area.
they all know how to fish. So
Yeah.
if I'm catching 92 inches, surely these guys have done the same thing. And so I start heading back, and I see Justin Maples. And Justin, I apologize. I've always told myself I would never sandbag and I would never try to shade away from the truth. But when he said, "Did you get them?" and I said, "Well, I got some, but I don't know if I got them." And he said, "Where were you?" And the first thing I think is, well, like I'm going to tell him where I just got 92 inches of fish at.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of chat, and he was struggling to get some, and he ended up getting his 5. He found a pocket of fish out there and did well, but um, I wasn't planning on it. Is
There he
that
is right
you?
there.
Is that you, Justin? I'm
That's
sorry,
him.
buddy.
He's
I'm
black white
sorry.
bassing.
So
He said you did sandbag.
I did, and we chatted for a little bit, and he just landed one when I came around the corner and was talking to him, and I said, "Hey, did you see my partner's truck by chance when you pulled in?" He said, "I think he was just leaving when I got here." So uh, Travis is not there anymore. He's decided that his 83 inches is good enough. He's going to go find some big bass somewhere, and so I get loaded up, and I have no coverage. I couldn't upload anything. I really wanted to pad my Tourney X stats so I looked a little better. And so I was going to cull like 17 fish to make it look good. But by the time that happened, the leaderboard was gone. And so I couldn't even, I wanted to put about 80 inches in there. So my partner had no idea what was going on. But the leader, by the time I got coverage, the leaderboard was down. So I get loaded up. I'm finishing loading up, and Travis drives by. He's hitting another pit already, and that's what I've got to worry about, is that he's got a lot of like competitiveness to him that I had it when I was a kid. I don't have it anymore. I've got some, but not to that level. So he's throwing his PA 14 back out into another pit and slinging around like it weighs 10 pounds because he's in a hurry to catch another pit or another fish. And I'm heading back to the strip pit, bait and tackle. I mean, another guy, Mark, great guy. So
Yeah.
I'm heading
Shout
back
out to
to
Mark.
I'm heading back. I mean, basically the fishing's almost done. There it is. The fishing's almost done at this point. Um, I've got 3 great fish for the team tournament, and that's really all I you guys think I'm playing it down, but that is really all I cared about. And I kind of feel like at that point, the way the fish were biting for me, that 96 or 97 inches is probably going to win it. If it turned
Mhm.
on like that for me and I caught 20, 15-inch plus fish, it's got to happen for someone else, especially somebody that knows what they're doing.
Were you
So
calculating your totals in your head? Like, did you know how many inches you had roughly? Was
I
there,
knew I had my partner beat, and that's really
were
all
you
I
off at all? Or
no,
so you didn't really know?
no. But also in Tourney X, by the time that I know I've got 90 inches. Like I'm
Yeah.
just rough,
90
but
is kind of what you're thinking.
but because I had no coverage, I'm just taking pictures and like 20 pictures of every fish, hoping that I'm going to have the right one. And I'm really bad at math, Travis. I didn't know what I had. And so I get back to the strip pit, and I'm kind of going into my head, or strip pit bait and tackle. I'm kind of going through my head what I've got. And there's like 3 people there, and all those 3 are, oh, I did okay. I didn't do great. I did, a little bit. And so I'm waiting for everybody to start wheeling in, and sure enough, slowly but surely they start coming in, and Travis finally gets there, and I say, hey, did you do good? No, I didn't really.
Exactly what he had.
Travis says he didn't do much better. So I realize at that point I've got him beat, and I feel horrible, but I got to play it now. And so he said, did you cull up that 10-inch that you caught when you were near me? And I said, yeah, I did okay. And he said, well, hopefully by 8 inches. And I said, oh, I don't know if I got 8 inches out of the coal, but I did a lot better than I had. And so we comes in, Trevor shows up, I think next, or maybe it was Ryan, one of the guys, and comes in, and we're chatting, and Ryan, of course, is just he's the ultimate poker face always, right? Ryan Brook could catch 12 inches, or he could catch 112, and he looks exactly the same regardless.
Yeah.
Trevor can't hide a single thing. If Trevor had 110 inches, he would actually have it written on his face in tattoo ink by the time that he got back to the meeting point. Like it would be obvious. So Trevor's kind of bummed, and it's just kind of what it is. So I stop and talk. Yeah, I see Shadow, and I see Jared, and Jacob, of course, didn't fish, and so we're just all, you kind of get back and chatting, and I'm kind of saying I did okay. I'm proud of the day I had. I got 5 good fish, and I still don't think I've won, but I still don't want to tell my partner what I had. So we Trevor is kind of within earshot, and Travis is kind of on the other side of Ryan. So it's like Ryan, Travis, Trevor, and Trevor's about 3 feet away, and I kind of little louder than I should have said, I think I got 51 inches for my 3 fish to Travis for the team part. And Trevor immediately says, oh, we got him, Ryan, we got him, because I'm only an inch or so behind Marvel, and you've got Travis beat by 3 inches at least, probably. And so we just kind of it goes on how it is. I'm not standing near them at all. I just don't think I could keep a straight face that long. And Travis realizes it and keeps saying things like, he's not even over here. What did he do? But he doesn't complete. I just kept saying, I have no idea what you're talking about. So the first thing that you announce is team tournament, and team, of course, only pays out for one team. So the winners with 109 inches for the 6 fish.
Yeah. And so I did put this on here. I forgot it. It actually totals up all of your fish, and then we have to go in and, basically take your top 3. So they didn't get 178 inches. I misspoke there, but anyway.
Yeah. So it ends up, Travis probably, I don't remember what he had top 3, but it was probably like 54 inches. Mm-hmm. And I tell him I've got 51. So, or maybe Travis had 53, who knows? And he's got 35, 60. I'm really bad at math, so that's like 53. So we should have been 104 inches. And so Ryan and Trevor think they've got us smoked, or at least Trevor does. Ryan, of course, wouldn't say anything. And so you call out 109 inches as the winner. And I know it's us at that point, because I know what I've got in my top 3, and I know what Travis had. Those guys are stumped. Like, who just beat us 2? And then you call out our name, the 2 fat guys fishing, which, by the way, we've got a sponsor that's working on trying to get us as a team. It's a local restaurant, so it works out great with two
Oh,
fat
yeah.
guys fishing.
Heck yeah.
But he's trying to buy the team, and he wants us to change our name, and so I'm not going to let him do that. So it's a lucky name. So anyway, we go up, we get our awards, and we kind of come back, and it's just like some head scratching going on. Like you can tell people don't really know what's going on. Even Travis, I don't think really knows what's going on at that point. Like, did John do the math wrong? Is there something going on? And so we come back and you call Big Bass, which is Ryan, of course, with 20 and a quarter.
Mhm.
And Travis immediately knows I don't have a chance at winning at this point. Ryan didn't act like he had a 20-inch fish at all. And look
There
at that.
it is right there for you guys.
God, this is a good looking fish.
Nice thick one.
Little footballish.
Yep.
And so Travis thinks he's in second and Ryan's one. And so I had told these guys, I think I'm around 82 inches, which I mean, 92 and 82, they're not that far off. So I'm 82-ish. And so Trevor's excited for me, and I appreciate it because I really am. I'm the dumb guy fishing. And if I'm in the money, this is a great thing. So top 6 places, and you call out 6th place at like 78 inches. And Trevor looks at me and goes, "You're in the money." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm excited about that. Thanks." And then I think you called 5th at like 80 and, well, I guess I can see it there, 80 and a half. Then you called 4th at 81 and 3/4. And Trevor's like, "You're in the top 3. You way to go." And you called out Travis at 86 inches, and Trevor looks over at me and with a little expletive, a little bit of a curse word, says basically along the lines of, "You did it, didn't you?" And I just smiled real big. And you called out Ryan at 90, and I think it finally set in what happened. And Jacob slow rolls the announcement and even throws out a nickname for me, and I'm already leaning on Travis, basically apologizing at that point. So it was just amazing. I can't believe nobody caught more than that. Dream come true. I can't believe it happened, but it did. So, and it's like Daniel said, hey, sometimes when it's your day, it's your day. So it happened for me. And I got a little buddy back home that is into fishing, and Jimmy, I'll always send him the Jimmy Hicks is his name. I'll always send him the first picture of the morning with the sunrise coming up. And, he's always telling me, hey, you need to do a little prayer that's basically, hey, let me enjoy this world. And if I can catch a couple good green ones, I'd appreciate it. And so, it happened. And when I sent that picture to Jimmy, he says, you in a tournament today? And I said, yep. And he said, you might as well go out and win that thing then. And, I didn't think anything of it, but it ended up happening. So
nice. Shout out to Jimmy.
Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy.
Heck yeah, man. No, that's cool. It's funny how you sandbagged the ultimate sandbagger too.
Well, that's the next thing Trevor said is you Ryan Brook. That's amazing.
Yeah. I think everybody other than Ryan Brook appreciates that.
I appreciate it. So
Daniel says these things don't just happen, and that is true. So I think you're selling yourself a little bit short. I understand this is your first big tournament win. We've got plenty of little league trophies in the back there to
all these guys show up to the podcast and they've got checks and they've got all their banners and trophies and whatnot, and I don't have anything. I think the newest trophy I've got is a bowling pin that I won in Tuesday night beer league when I was in college, and the rest are all my little league. Littrell probably has got these same trophies from when we played little league ball together. So actually, he probably threw them away because
he probably replaced them with fishing trophies.
He's acknowledged he's done things, he's accomplished things since then. I haven't. So
Marvin, yeah, is that your nickname?
Yeah, my buddy Gordon from work calls me Marvo.
Marvo, got it. AC Falcon football, he says. Got one from.
We used to clean up the little South Central Kansas League and AC Falcons.
Ryan says, "Way to go, Drunkle Mike."
That's me. He forgot to go, but
he did.
He's probably on painkillers after his surgery. So
he. So yeah, I finished my beer off here, but I did that in light of your nickname, Drunkle Mike.
I appreciate that. Yeah, these
Um,
guys are all they're literally young enough to be my kids.
Yeah, yeah, some
Thanks,
of them are.
CBG.
CBG in the house. What? Okay, so going into this thing, what is your kayak setup? I guess let's go to that. So you kind of talked about it a little bit,
Yeah,
but if
I've
you
got
want to
a
kind of
sure. I've got a Jackson Bite FD. Great little kayak. I mean, for a I don't 12.6, whatever that is, considered a 13-foot kayak. I've got got the Jackson E drive on it, which is great. If I don't have any electronics down, I run about 3.5 miles an hour. I've got a Garmin Live Scope 9-inch with it's the 54 transducer. So I've got that stuff running off of the I think it's the Yak Attack, and then I've got you had mentioned to me, I PM'd you about a year ago and said, hey, what that kayak that you've got in there, I can't remember whose kayak you were rigging, but it was
Marty Hughes.
yep. So what Live Scope mount does he got? And you said
What
Fishing
mounts?
Specialties.
Okay, you remembered. I thought you were asking me
Yep.
to tell you what
No,
mount you
no,
have. Okay.
you had said, hey, it's the Fishing
Yeah.
Specialties. I don't think you can get much better than this. And
They're good, aren't they? Do you
so
like
I
it?
ordered it, and yeah, I broke it off twice.
Okay.
Big Hill killed it once, and I'll tell you this: if you ever run a Live Scope, put the little lock on the Fishing Specialties mount, because it's made to break away. It's got 2 plastic screws
Yep.
made to break away. But if that little latch isn't on there, then when it breaks away, the little white mount just goes off into the water, and you're still connected through the transducer cable to the transducer itself, to the Live Scope transducer, but the rest of it is gone. So
Yeah.
that's a $50 mess up when you do that. So it happens, but it's it's a nice little setup. I'm horrible at Live Scope. I wish I should say this. It's taught me more about what bait fish do. It's taught me more about what bass do, but I do a horrible job. I've caught really probably one fish in that same pit last year, actually, where I saw a bait ball. I saw a bass behind the bait ball, literally coming up and like attacking them on the Live Scope. I had a little white Storm 3-inch swim bait that I threw out about 20 feet behind it. I reeled it in about 10 foot away from that bait ball. That bass on my screen turns, goes backwards, and I set the hook from the screen before I ever felt it, because I saw it attack that bait. And that's really the only fish that I've caught using the Live Scope.
Really? Okay.
The rest help. I mean, I see them. I can tell what's going on. I'm learning things about them. But to say that I've caught fish with it, no. But I've learned a lot from it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely a helpful tool. And yeah, I mean, if you're not relying on it 100%, I think, if you rely on it 100%, then you could be in trouble, but over time, I think you'll get better with it. But, go out there and fun fish and just set your mind to catching only Live Scope fish. And I think, but obviously you know how to do it. You did.
Well, that's the thing for me, is that I don't have, and I say this, I don't make time to just go out and fun fish and run the scope. I really should go out without a pole, just run the scope and see what's going on. And I tend to not have the time to do that. So
do you lean on your electronics otherwise, like, your side imaging or your mapping, or
no,
what do you use that graph for?
If I go out, I'm looking at the bottom. That's about the only thing I'm really doing. Water temperature and what the bottom composition looks like. Is it hard? Is there grass down there? I will use the charting a little bit to try to see where the water depth is changing, especially if it's changing pretty sharp. But other than that, I like I said, a lot of the time that thing will take my kayak speed down about 1 mile per hour when I've got both transducers down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm a little envious of the PA guys that have the little mount with the spring-loaded mount in the middle of the Guardian.
So you have your GT54 mounted on the bottom of that pole?
I've got it on the bottom of the pole. That's right.
Gotcha. And then you've got the
Yak Attack,
the Live Scope shaft mounted.
I've got the LVS 32. I'm sorry, over on the fishing specialties, so I
Mhm.
can turn it. And then I've got like the Yak Attack
Oh, okay.
razor,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, a little
Yep.
jointed arm
Arm.
that goes,
Mhm.
that goes up off the other side.
Gotcha.
So I'm
Okay.
hanging off both sides, and at least that way the drag is evened out and I can go straight. But yeah, a lot of the time if I'm trying to fly through a lake, I'll pull the live scope up for sure.
Yeah.
And I'll side image some, I'll down image. A lot of the time, if I'm just flying through the lake, I'll pull the live scope up, I'll down image with the chart, and just kind of watch and see if I see anything. I'll mark some fish if I see some fish, especially that first 30 minutes or so before lines in. I'm flying through a lake. I'm marking as many bass as I can and hoping to come back to them, but a lot of the time they're not there by the time I get back, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. What is your go-to lure when things are getting tough?
Um, I it's funny because this will change now after listening to uh, uh, Drew Gregory was on KBN podcast on Monday, and he said something that I thought was very interesting. And when the bite dies for me, I go slow, right? I try to finesse something. I'll grab a weightless worm. I'll grab a wacky worm if I have to, if I've got a spinning set up in the kayak. And Drew Gregory made it a point that he fishes fast the entire time, even when the bite dies. And he says, if the bite dies for everyone, it's dead, right? But if I can get a lure out in front of as many fish as possible, I've probably got a better chance of getting a fast strike, a reaction bite,
Yeah.
than you do of throwing a wacky worm and hoping that it's in the right spot. So if I'm casting 10 times to your one, I'm probably going to get something. And I thought, I've never done that. I always slow it down. I'll go to a Texas rig. I'll drag the bottom. But obviously, if I went 4 hours Saturday without getting anything in a pit that had fish in it, then I mean, it just wasn't working. But
Yeah.
I'm the moron that brings like 11 rods or 12 rods on my kayak with completely different setups. I'll throw every single one of them and hope that something sticks, but I typically it doesn't work. I just I'm not very good with a lot of those.
How do you how do you manage that many rods? What are you using there?
So I've got a crate set up. Yeah, Travis says just say jackhammer. I love throwing a jackhammer. And and now when the bite dies off, I will continue to throw a jackhammer because that's what I'd prefer to throw anyway. Um,
Size? What you want to give any
uh,
colors?
3/8 to half ounce.
Hmm.
Um, I've got a little bit of each color, but the three, I mean, that everyone would go would be I'll do a white, so some sort of a shad imitation, a bait fish imitation. I'll go green pumpkin. That height delight or whatever it is has got a little
Yeah.
bit of chartreuse and some green
Yeah.
pumpkin and a little bit of white. That's a good one. And then any of the craw colors that you can get. Those are my three. And so depending on what's happening, I'll throw one or the other. I threw the crawdad colored one when we were at Fort Scott for the first Sika tournament, and I had no luck at all. They weren't hitting that crawdad color yet. It was a little too early. Um, so I'm smart enough to learn that if they're not hitting that color, I need to get away from it. But um, so I've got a crate, just a milk crate that I've got 9 rod holders on, so 3 on each side and then 3 in the
Hmm.
back. And then the Jackson Bite has got 2 rod holders built in that go back at an angle. It's a big, ugly mess. I get caught up on myself a lot, especially when
Hmm.
one of those treble hook baits comes off and gets stuck on something, usually my shoulder. Uh, so, but I mean, sometimes I'll go out with 12 and the 12th one will be in my hand. I'll lay it in the kayak when I launch and I won't have a spot to have it. But I'm such a disorganized person that it's kind of the way my brain works. The disorganization helps me focus a little bit, I guess. And I'll throw 3 rods down in the floor of the kayak while I'm fishing. I'm surprised there weren't some in some of those pictures. I think there probably are, but you can't see it because I've got so much stuff there already.
Okay. So you Is the idea to save you time, when you're switching between
Yeah, I tell you what, Southeast Kansas, people probably underestimate it a little bit, but there's a lot of wind down here, and especially a lot of the places we fish. And without anchoring down to retie a lure, for me, I need to get to a bank and kind of get stopped. And it's just, if you've got 11 rods up, you're not going to have much luck. So um, I don't know. It's a lot of it is just some insecurities in fishing. There's about three things that I enjoy throwing or I feel comfortable throwing, and the rest I know I need to throw, and I'm not any good at them.
What I know you walked away with a pretty nice little paycheck when it
I
was all
did.
said and done. Any plans on maybe like tackle or uh, anything to upgrade the kayak? Any plans with any of that, or you just
I'll tell you what my wife said when she realized it took her about 3 days before she realized that I'd won money. And so somebody had saw a somebody had saw the check, or somebody commented on the picture on on Facebook, and she said, "Holy cow, you won like $1,200?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, it's not like you didn't already spend that." And
yeah,
so she made a pretty valid point. So we're in the process of building a house. Every bit of extra money I get right now is going to go towards a 2x4
there you
because
go.
that's how bad it is.
Well, they're expensive, aren't they?
There. Hey, Daniel, I don't have a green cup. I don't know what you're talking about.
He just switched it out for the water cup. That's his chaser right there.
It's Woodford Reserve, Daniel.
Woodford Reserve. What was it? The Seagram 7, I think, was Danny's podcast choice.
Oh, nice.
Drink of choice.
I've got the
I
7
believe.
mixer, so we've got that.
Okay, so let me see here, and then what are you looking forward to in this season? Like, what are your have you set any goals? Are you looking forward to like the team series and maybe doing something there? I mean,
No, the team's kind of blown up. Travis has got a real life, and so his kids are pretty decent at sports. So he's got traveling soccer and traveling baseball,
okay,
and so we know we're already going to miss 2 events. So the team one is done. But I'm really looking forward to having some new friend requests through Facebook, because I bought a lot of people margaritas after that event on
oh,
last Saturday, and I didn't get a single friend request out of it. I was trying to make new friends
dang, where did you do that at?
at the strip pit bait and tackle.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
I
you bought.
offered you one. You told me no.
I think I was drinking some Coors Light.
Yeah, I that's the second time after a tournament there that I've bought margaritas. They sell a 12-pack of margaritas there at the Cajun Jack or whatever it is, and at the place. And yeah, tell you what. No, you know what? I'm looking forward to the competition. I'd love to think that I might be able to get another one of these, but the fact of the matter is, there's no way. It was a fluke. I said it early. The blind squirrel found a nut. I'm good with that. I wanted to do a podcast. Now I'm a little bit angry that I didn't get a giant check, other than that fake one. So, at the end of the season, if you need to retire that one and make a new one, I'll gladly take that, and I'll pay to have it printed on so I can hang it on my bedroom wall.
Yeah, well, I know where you can get one.
Good.
I
I was
mean,
gonna print a bunch of fake ones and hang them on the back wall here, but I'm actually in my wife's office, and it's probably not really welcome.
she doesn't want a reminder, does she?
No.
Yeah, you probably spent all that money in tournament entry fees, even, right?
Well, don't tell her that. Until the other day, she didn't realize that it costs money to fish in these, and she even said, "So you made $1,250. How much did it cost you?" And I said, $85 for the team and the individual. And she said, "You did pretty good, I guess." So
Yeah, heck yeah, yeah. But if if we added up all the tournament entry fees over the years, you know,
Why are you even talking about this, John?
she's not watching, is she?
She probably will at some point.
Okay, but no, I
I'm
mean, you
I'm
know,
I'm
this.
probably down $100 total.
You think?
No,
Okay,
no,
let's stick
not
with
at
that.
all.
Let's
Yeah,
stick with that.
let's go with that one.
But yeah, I mean, this is a sport where, you know, yeah, on the local scene, you do have some reoccurring, you know, faces, but you know, is you know, we take the Ryan Brooks and you know the Jacob Wards and the Trevor Kays and the Marcos and right, and we look at these guys like they win all the time, but they in all reality they don't. They are very consistent anglers, and you know more often than not, you can find them in the top 5 or the top 10. But to win these tournaments on a consistent, you know, basis is very hard. So yeah, in the long run, we're definitely all down. But this is not a sport, you know, where if you can't handle losing, this is not the sport for you because you're going to lose way more often, and losing could be second place, right? You're going to lose way more often than you'll
Yep,
ever win.
for sure.
So
Oh
somebody's
man,
telling your wife.
my wife's best friend is watching. See, I told
Oh
you
man,
I was gonna have some people on that we're here to support me, and all you out of towners, all you non-fishers, I appreciate you guys tuning in. It feels nice to have some support out there. That one in particular, Jamie, she's talked a lot of trash about my fishing excursions as well because they pretty much ruin a Saturday when you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning and driving somewhere and then fish all day and come back. The Saturday night is pretty much done. So
yeah, yeah, not really in the mood to do a whole lot. It's time to take a nap after that.
that's right.
What kind of structure do you like to target? What is your
Uh,
ideal scenario?
you know what? The easiest thing for me to say is I like to fish shallow, and
Hmm.
so couple feet where I can throw something that there are fish there. I mean, when it's shallow, it's hard to miss a fish that's in 2 foot of water.
Yeah,
I rocks. I enjoy throwing a shaky head. It doesn't necessarily get me a lot of big bites, but I'll throw a shaky head when there's some hard surface on the bottom. Um, I'm not a riprap guy. I mean, a lot of people want to throw a crankbait, and I can't. I have zero confidence in a crankbait. I
really.
don't I don't know what it is, but my buddy I mentioned earlier, Jimmy over in Arc City, he loves the square bill. The SQB1 is what he always sends to me, like we're talking football and it's QB1, but I just can't. I'll take that, Dakota.
So he is definitely validating your.
Yeah, no, I'm a mess out there, and I like I said, I bring all those rods. I don't know why. A lot of the time, I don't throw any of them, but um, if you get on, the ones that were biting the other day, whether it was the jackhammer, which I had a little overrun on my braid, and the jackhammer pole got thrown away pretty quick. Um, because it was as bad as what happened to Dakota, by the way, because he did the same thing, and I couldn't fix it. I've got cuts on the backs of both of my pinkies trying to rip that braid out, and couldn't get it. So, um, yeah, hey CBG, you're exactly right. That's the bad part. We all feel bad about disappearing for a day, and my wife points out that the Saturday is also about 3 hours Friday night, getting all your gear together. And so, yeah, I tell you, the Shadows and the Laurens and the Megans and the Kayleys that fish these tournaments. Good for you guys. They're coming out and doing it with us. So,
Yeah, okay.
what's he talking about? What's Travis talking about? Make sure you talk about this little chat icons in my way. Oh yeah,
Got the rope and
I've got a rope on the front of my kayak that is cursed, and I've stuck a few hooks in there so deep that I don't want to break my line. And so usually I'll throw some pliers at somebody and say, any chance you can dig this jackhammer out of the front of my kayak or not? And so, the Travis one day said, I'm done with your rope. You need to get rid of it. And so I cut about half of it off. And I told him the next time I saw him, I said, look, I cut the rope off. And he said, it's still there. Get rid of it. And I haven't. So, but now nobody can make me do anything because
now it's a lucky rope.
I won a tournament. It's my lucky rope. Everything's got to stay the same.
Have you changed your underwear?
I did. I'll be honest. My head, I tried to stay humble. My head was so big Sunday morning after that tournament that I couldn't sit up in bed. My wife actually kicked me out of the bed so that, like, she just rolled me over sideways so that I could get up. It was just hard to pick myself up. My head's still swollen. This isn't normal. My head's not normally this fat. This is from winning that tournament.
Okay. I don't know. It doesn't seem like you're very big-headed about it. I don't think anybody's getting that impression.
What do you mean? This new necklace isn't giving it away?
That's a little gaudy. It's a little gaudy. How much tackle? So we know you keep a bunch of rods. How much tackle do you keep in your kayak? That's been a popular question.
I know on the podcast last week, Siddiqui said something like thousands. And I'm not there. As easy is it to say that I have that in gear? I don't. I've got, now Travis will laugh about this, but I upgraded from a Walmart sack.
There you go.
To this little Bass Mafia bag.
You got that sucker jam packed.
What do you mean? I can fit a lot more stuff in here.
You think?
But I bring this, and I've got a little Rubbermaid container that I'll throw some other stuff that's still in its new case. In the bottom, they both fit underneath my seat, and that's kind of how I roll. So,
you got terminal tackle in there too, or
no? I don't. So in my crate, I've got a square bill Plano. I've got a couple of smaller. I don't have plastics back there because I got them all in here, but I've got a square bill Plano. I've got a terminal tackle, the little Academy Sports blue and gray, whatever that thing's called. I really like that. I know some of the guys, I think this Siddiqui was talking about the bass tackle coffins or whatever they are, that they love those, but I picked that thing up for $12 and it's 100 times
similar to
better.
that, isn't it? Yeah,
except that there's not pods that you replace or stick down. It's just kind of built how it is. But for what it is, it's great for me. But also, I've got 11 other rods behind me that if I break one off, I'm probably not going to tie something onto that anyway. But I carry these two things. I've got 4 like 3600 Planos. I've got a couple of the smaller Planos that all fit in the crate, and then I've got one little bitty Texas rig Plano that sits up front with me, and I've got a Ned one that I will never throw. And yeah, Travis is right. I mean, there's a gazillion things laying on the deck, so it's there. I can talk about some of this stuff. So I've got a buddy down in Texas, Roy York, that's with a company called, it's his company. It's K&R Baits. It used to be K&R Rod Company. He makes some really nice plastics, and I keep a lot of that stuff on hand. And then I'm kind of a Berkeley guy other than the Z-Man stuff. So that's a winner right there.
What is it? Diesel minnows.
Yeah, I do a lot of, that's one of my trailers.
Boom, there you go. Okay.
And any of the Max Scent stuff, I'll fish that stuff. But that's kind of what I carry on the kayak. I've got some of these guys probably use it. Motley Fishing, Terry Ellis has got tungsten that I buy. He's better price than any place else I've seen. I shouldn't say that. Russell Marine, I think, has some great prices on tungsten. Sorry, John. And like I said, none of these people sponsor me. I'm a tightwad, and I try to find the places that are the best deals for me for the stuff that works. And
Yeah.
That's what it is. But yeah, that's essentially what I carry. I mean, I probably have a few $100s worth of tackle on the boat. Now, gear wise, that's not the case. I if my wife watches this, it's probably just $300 worth of gear on there. But
Yeah.
um,
Well, I do want to acknowledge this comment. First ever KK winner. Nobody can ever take that away from you.
well, I
So
appreciate that, Daniel. I also appreciate you not fishing it, apparently, because you didn't, and that helped me. You focused on something else. There's what Travis was talking about. So there's a jackhammer setup that I love to
yeah,
throw.
is
Nice little
that
bait
with
fish.
the Berkeley?
Yep, that's what's
Yeah,
on the back of that power shad. Little
very nice.
little Daiwa
Oh, okay.
um, limited, and I'm throwing that. I just started this year throwing that on a glass rod. I've got the Dobbins. It's at 736 glass rod,
Nice.
and so
Are you
I
throwing
got
spinner baits and stuff on it, or pretty much a
no.
chatterbait rod?
I do not like to throw spinner baits. Sorry, Ryan.
Really?
I know you
Okay.
love them, but I can't get there. And I know all the old school guys are like spinner baits over chatter baits, but I just never had luck catching anything on a spinner bait growing up, and
Hmm.
I kind of got away from them, and I've got 100 of them.
About the opposite. I don't ever fish a chatterbait anymore. I used to fish them a lot, and I didn't really fish spinnerbaits a whole lot. But I've kind of gone back the other way.
Well, there's two chatterbaits that I really like, and Grumpy Fish Tackle. I apologize for not naming yours. I just haven't got one yet, or I'd probably use it. But the jackhammer,
Cough,
and
cough.
then, yeah, that's right. They were all gone when I got my raffle number drawn, so I didn't get to pick one.
Right.
I of course the jackhammer, and then their weedless one that comes in the big hard plastic case is another one that I love throwing, and both of those the blade kicks off pretty quick when you start reeling.
Mm-hmm. Dakota wants you to mention Trevor K chipping his tooth the night before the tournament.
I heard that might have happened. I don't know. And then I saw the picture of Ryan milking cows, and I think that's probably how Trevor ended up chipping his tooth. I think it had to do with trying to milk a cow that way. I'm just saying there were no details.
Was he trying to milk a bull?
Well, I'm sure he's tried that multiple times. whether that's what happened that night or not, I don't know. But we didn't get any other details. I heard from 17 different people that Trevor had chipped a tooth that night. So
you got to check the hardware before you start milking, man.
That's right. This is that River to Sea. This is the Whopper Plopper that I caught the first two on. It's a 110.
Okay.
So
I got some of those on order.
I tell you what, the 110 is, for me, the 90 is a little small. The 135 or whatever the next step up is just
130 is a little big. Yeah.
It splashes a lot when I cast it, and so this is on a 6-gill setup. I'm kind of a love-hate sometimes with these. This is that Hamar, which is like a no adjustment reel, and then the Aquilos rod I really like. It's got a little bit of, it's a little slower rod, and I don't know. I like that a lot.
I will say on the Whopper Plopper, I do like the 75. It's a little guy, but I really like that one. I've caught a lot of fish on it.
You know, one of the items I won that Saturday was that it's got that little frog edition thing. I'm kind of anxious to try that out and see how it works.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, little swim jig with a trailer on it, and this is I ran straight braid with this, in the Daiwa. This is an SV TWS 6.3. I couldn't.
He's only got $300 worth of gear on his boat.
$300 worth of gear, babe. Thanks. I've got a couple other Daiwas. The other one I ran, or I was throwing, that I caught one in front of Travis with, is a little creature bait. That's one of the K&R baits.
Is that a Falcon?
And then it is. It's a Cara. I love this thing.
I love mine. Which
Yeah,
one is it?
This is the eye crosser.
Okay.
So,
I got the Amistad, and
yep.
I
You know what?
love that one. Catching Texas rig jigs. I mean, it's great for that.
I would have bought the Amistad, but John Sports Center didn't have it in stock that day, and they had this one. So I think I've lost 2 inches. Story of my life.
I've looked at that one too. I don't know, but I was really looking into building more of a Falcon arsenal, and I think I'm gonna go more so with the Davis Custom Rods approach. So
I tell you what, Stephen Davis makes some gorgeous looking rods.
yep.
I will buy a rod from him as well, guaranteed.
Yep. Yeah, I know that one that DJ, and we are going to do that again this year. So you just might have an opportunity. You keep this up. I mean, you're 1 for 1 this year. So you keep it up, and you just might win an Angler of the Year rod too.
Well, I thought that it would probably be important for me to announce my retirement tonight. I just, I'm gonna go out on top. I'm just gonna.
There you go.
Yeah.
Take up golf.
Yeah, that's right. I've took it up. It's not very good.
Yeah.
I'm about as good at golfing as I am at fishing. So.
Ryan wants to clear this up here. He says there was no milking, apparently.
Yeah, whatever.
6 gill Dobbins. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're just gonna skip over that one. Oh shoot! It just gets worse.
Come on! What is going on here?
Oh man, that's good stuff right there. But what do you think about those Daiwas? I only have one bait caster, but it's actually the one that I've caught a lot of fish on it. I don't ever backlash it. It's a Tatula HD 200. It's 5 years old, and I throw it on my swim bait setup, and I love it. But
I'll tell you why I got into these Daiwas. I've got an old. It's not even a Daiwa brand, but it says like made by Daiwa. I need to remember what it is.
Oh, it's a Cabela's.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like a Bass Pro or a Cabela's, whatever brand they had.
All the Cabela's ones were made by Daiwa.
And it says made by Daiwa on it. That was my favorite reel forever. And I finally blew the drag out of that thing, and it won't hold a fish anymore. And it looks just like one of these limited, except obviously newer. And so I kind of got into that from that. And I've tried all these reels. I mean, I've tried everything. I know some people, it's kind of a toss up. You're either a Shimano or you're a Daiwa person.
Yeah.
And for those who are like, hey, I'm all about lures, or, I'm 13 fishing, or I'm, whatever, 6 gills. You get a real nice Shimano or you get a real nice Daiwa. It's hard to beat. And I don't know what Jacob's trying to say, but I know my people.
Yeah, I've got mostly Shimano, but I will say that I will probably be replacing a lot of those with Daiwas. I don't know that I think I'm rocking with about 8 rods or so, 8, maybe 9. I don't need to get to the point where I'm running 12, I don't think. I'm not quite there yet.
I don't need it either, to be honest. I honestly, every time I get back in, and I didn't tell you about the 3 or 4 rods that I usually have laying in the car still. It's dumb. There's just been a time, my little dog's wandering around back there. There's been a time or two where I've thought, why didn't I bring that? And when I don't bring it, it's usually when I get caught. The one that kills me, shout out to Cameron out there, the wacky rig, I won't bring it sometimes, and then the bite will be completely dead, and I'll think, why didn't I bring a wacky rig today?
But you're going to bring a jackhammer now for that situation.
I will have a jackhammer. That's right. Jacob, that's all I'm going for, buddy.
Most friendly guys. And the most fashionable jewelry.
I mean, who's got a necklace like this, honestly?
I mean, that's a great point. I mean, there's only one person who has a necklace like that.
Oh, that's true. There's only one necklace like that out there. Look at that. I took it off.
How about your favorite yak accessory?
Oh, man. I'll tell you what my least favorite is.
Okay.
My least favorite is it's my live scope, just the handle itself. I've
Okay.
lost 3 fish that would have helped me in situations by bouncing the fish off of it.
Yeah.
And one of them I needed a fifth fish at Ouachita for the AKS last year, and I
Uh-huh.
didn't get it. And I would have beat Dakota Payne at the AKS with that
And he did
fish.
well.
It
Didn't
was
he
at
do
least a
well?
17. He was top 15. I think
Yeah.
I would have bumped him to 16, and I'd have ended up in 15th if I'd have caught that fish. And it was all a matter of I bounced it off of the handle of my live scope.
I'm sorry, but I got to cut to this one. 4 rods in the car, probably about $15.
CBG, I love you. That's amazing. That's right. It might have been $16, about $4 a piece.
Daniel wants to know what color cup is next. He's got a few of them.
You know what? You can say that I'm not much. Look, so he's talking about preparation. I prepared for this call, and I knew I'm going to get thirsty partway through, so I'm going to have a backup plan.
Yep. I know, and I'm here with my empty beer.
I'm glad Ryan asked this question. I'll tell you why. Friday night before the mine land, go get another one.
I can hear you.
Where'd the host go?
The fridge is right here, man. I didn't have to go far.
Friday night before the tournament, I went out and I hung with Travis and I hung with Ryan and I hung with Trevor. We just country cruised around and checked out pits, and every now and then we'd throw a line in, and Ryan brought whatever he wanted, including a kayak, but the other 3 of us were in my car, so we brought 1 rod each, and so we'd stop at a pit that we'd never fished, and we'd just throw in and see what happened.
Did Trevor throw a big swim bait?
Of course he did. It was, it was a Chad or something. I wish he'd have broke it off, because that night I would have swam out there and got it. But what Ryan asked, what's your preparation for a tournament? Well, I hung out with those guys specifically for one reason, and that was to get their fishing knowledge and aura to come over to me, and it worked. Okay. Obviously, it worked. I took it all.
I thought you were bluffing here for a minute, but it sounds like you just gave away your secret, and they're going to refuse to hang out with you the night before.
That's okay. I got it all. I took it. This might be for the whole season. We don't know yet.
Jacob likes your Hulk headphones. Are those Hulk?
No, they're not. These are razors, and I'm going to tell you, these are super expensive, and don't ever get a kid that's into gaming, because these are probably cost more than those that are on him, whichever way that is. There. It's nuts.
Mine aren't expensive.
Everything razor. But I know that you get a bad echo when you don't have a headset, and I thought, I don't want to put all these people who are so nice to watch the show to jump on and do this.
Yeah, I might have to bring you back as a co-host. I think that's a great idea. Just don't forget all 4 cups. I think that's kind of the key to.
Well, listen, the one thing I didn't tell you is that I get smarter as the show goes on. So I saw my wife's reading glasses, and this makes me like, this is 30 IQ points. So
yeah, I think people, if you just people just start taking whatever you say as the truth, no matter what it is with those classes. Great Metal Marine. Appreciate you joining. I don't think I've seen you on one of the live streams. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys, if you are watching this podcast for the first time, hit that subscribe button. We've got these just about every week, especially now that we kind of come into tournament season. We'll have a lot of local guys on, guys from the Midwest on here, but we'll be bringing on some of the bigger names throughout the national scene as well. And if you guys have any special requests, I can always reach out to folks in your neck of the woods as well. One you mentioned earlier that's going to be coming up is Drew Gregory. We're going to do one with him, so we'll might have to bring Danny on for that one as well.
You should get them both on there.
Can't wait for Perry. Perry is the next one for you guys that are wanting to participate in our next Kansas Kayak Anglers event, May 7th, I believe. Lake Perry Lake, whichever way it is. They've got smallmouth in there, pretty big body of water, lots of docks to fish. I haven't been out there since I was a kid, but I know last year one of the groups did pretty well out there, and I want to say there was like a nice 6-pounder caught and some pretty good sized smallmouth out there as well. So that is definitely one that you won't want to miss. Is there one that you're looking forward to in particular, like maybe a big hill, or which one are you?
No, you and I are on the same boat about Big Hill. Yeah. I you know what? I just can't. I can't figure that one out. You know what? Wilson is so far away. I'm dreading that one a little bit. I hope that Travis and I have talked about trying to co-trailer and run out there together since it's such a long drive. But
to pre-fish or for the tournament?
to actual for the tournament. There's no way I'll get out there to pre-fish. I mean, I think it's a 5.5 hour drive for us, and so we'll be lucky. We might take off work Friday afternoon and drive straight there just to get there in time for the tournament. So
I think that if there was one that I was excited about, it'd be that one. And it's not as long of a drive for me, but it's a damn good fishery.
I've never caught a smallmouth, so I know there's both there, but I think the smallmouth is probably the approach to catch some big fish out there. And yeah, maybe somebody can school me on that. I'd tell you what, Travis and I have been talking about a little YouTube channel called Two Fat Guys Fishing.
There you go.
Actually, I think it's Two Fat Idiots Fishing, and people teach us how to do stuff. So maybe somebody could teach me how to catch a smallmouth before then.
It's a lot like catching a largemouth. I'll say that much. It really is. I mean, don't overthink it. Would be my advice. But I haven't caught a ridiculous amount of smallmouth in my day. But there are some smallmouth out there in El Dorado, and I've wrangled a few of those. If Ryan Brook were to teach you how to catch smallmouth, it'd be on a spinnerbait.
Yeah, and everybody goes, huh?
Yep. It's just like catching a largemouth, man. I think
where he caught them and on a spinnerbait at El Dorado, I think, just blew everyone's mind.
But I think that it wouldn't for the people that fish El Dorado. They're kind of known to be up in that dirty water. Like, it's kind of weird. You'd think they'd be down by the dam, and they are down there for sure. I've caught them down there too, but.
I was throwing a jackhammer not far from where he ended up catching a bunch of fish, and I never got a bite.
When you're fishing El Dorado smallmouth, I don't think that's your typical smallmouth fishery. It's just dirty a lot of the time. And, Wilson would probably take a little bit different of an approach. But I will say I do remember Chris Nixon won an event out there at Wilson catching smallmouth on a spinnerbait.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure they'll hit a chatterbait too.
I'm getting some tips already down here. I appreciate you guys.
Two fat guys learning to fish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well.
Brighter colors. Yeah, I'd say that's probably when you want to bust out the chartreuse or the, maybe the craw colors and stuff. Throw anything that moves. But, the other side of that is you'll catch a lot of fish on a Ned too. So, just fish like you do largemouth, I would say. So, all right. Well, let me see here. If any of you guys, I think we're about to wrap it up. Ryan says smallmouth love spinnerbaits, but I think we're about to wrap it up. If any of you guys want to have anything else in particular asked, now is the time. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm going to ask you one just to give everybody a time to drum up their question here. What is one thing that you would like to know about your favorite angler? So if you have an all-time favorite angler, or your biggest competition. If you were the host of this show, what is the one thing you would want to take away from them? Something you would want to learn from them.
God, there's so many questions that you could ask that we as anglers would want to know. Like when do you move a spot? When do you change colors? When do you,
Yeah.
But they all answer that right in every one of their interviews. So I think maybe more than anything, if it was to ask a pro angler, it would be, how do you hold your family life together with a pro fishing schedule? Because you're just not home, right?
Yeah.
And so, or I guess that should be, how do you bribe your wife to continue to take care of everything at home while you're completely gone?
Well, the answer to that is money.
Oh, yeah. Just keep sending it out.
Just, hey, yeah, it's not so bad. But
I traveled
that would
for
be
work.
tough.
I traveled for work for 3 years. I averaged like 34 weeks a year on the road, and
Wow.
to not be home is a tough one. So, they've got something, the KVDs of the world, the any of those guys that they probably spend 30 or 40 weeks on the road. How do you do it? And maybe their money is so much that they just bring them with them and they figure out how to make it work. But yeah, I don't know, that it would probably be more focused on that, more towards, making the family life work and the maintaining your house while you're gone all the time. And I don't know. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's a lame. It's got nothing to do with fishing. And how do you catch them shallow? How's that?
There you go. No, I think that's a good point. Something that probably gets overlooked. So yeah, I think that's something too that we kind of fantasize about. I think that's something that it'd be so cool to be a pro fisherman. It'd be so cool to go fish every weekend or fish every day. I think that it really does sound like something that you would enjoy. But it definitely presents its own challenges, and especially for the guys that have young children, that have to be away from them and are missing sports activities, and they're not there, to help them out their homework and stuff like that. Like, not only is it affecting, maybe potentially your relationship with your wife or your children, but mentally, like, we feel bad after a day or two fishing a little local event. I really do start to feel
absolutely
somewhat guilty. It's like, man, like, what am I doing here? It's, I need to go, like, hang out with the kids or whatever. So yeah, I can only imagine if, it wasn't a couple of days, it was a couple months. So yeah, no, it was, you kind of brought down the vibe a little bit, but I think that it really is a good point. As much as we all love to fish, would you really want that to be your full-time job? Like, to me, that's more of a retirement plan. This is about as close to fishing for a living as I'll get, working at RMP and kind of doing this stuff, running the club and stuff like that. But, maybe once the kids are out of the house and stuff, that's something that would be a little bit more manageable.
For sure.
And this was a question I had too. Is that your all-time highest limit in a tournament, 92 inches?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's pretty cool, because, how many times do you catch your, PB limit over, only to be outdone by somebody else, so.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I the fact that I got 92 inches, it's the most I've got in a tournament. I was close. No, I don't think I was close at Bone Creek last year. A bunch of us caught a lot of fish. That was the prime fishing time.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, to do that and win the tournament was great. And my PB for Metal Marine, it's a 7 1/4. I caught it at a watershed in Sedan, Kansas, on a paddle boat. It pulled us around the entire watershed before I landed it. It was pretty amazing.
Nice.
What about yours, John?
Mine is like, I'm kind of ashamed. So my PB has to be when I was a kid. I caught like a 5-pounder. My grandpa said it was a 5-pounder, and so I doubt it was weight or anything like that. I have not caught a 5-pounder since. At least the fish that I've weighed have all been just under that. So I tend to catch a lot of 3s and 4s, but the 5-pounders are eluding me, and a little ashamed of that. But it is what it is, right? So this is the year that I break that PB, and maybe I'll just skip the 5-pound club and go right to 6
Go for it.
or 7.
Whoa, go for it.
Wilson's a place to do it, man.
As my buddy Trevor K would say, bet.
Jacob wants that to be his job. He wants to be a pro angler.
Yeah, he does. He should.
He should before he has some kids.
Yeah.
I bet Lauren would travel around with him. See, I think that'd be cool. Like the sorry, I just drew a blank. The Brandon Poliniks and those guys that their wives actually travel around with them, and it's kind of make it a family affair. Mike doing better than me. If was a green cup and black cup deep, I'd be okay. All right.
Watch this. Daniel, have a great night, buddy. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh. He's out.
I'm not.
He's coming back. I don't know. All right, guys. So he may be hitting the head, as they say. I'm assuming. I don't know. This was not planned by any means. Thank you, Daniel. But anyways, guys, I think we're kind of coming to an end anyways, but appreciate you guys all tuning in. This has been a really interesting interview. I think that Mike really does sell himself short here. This may be his first, big win. But I don't think that it's going to be his last, right? So you can't hear me either. Yeah, you couldn't. I didn't realize you couldn't hear me that whole time.
I couldn't hear you. I took them off.
I said all nice things, I promise. But no, I was just saying, I think that you're selling yourself a little bit short, and I really would not be surprised to see you go into another tournament and win it, or do well.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. But no, you guys, I all this, that chatter that's going on over there is far-fetched. I'm going to throw some stuff and go, and that's it.
Well, just keep doing.
That's right, John. She doesn't get too far from there. We made it. We made it to Illinois, and we ended up back in Southeast Kansas a year later. So he's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's about time to call it a night. What do you have anything that you'd like to mention, or anything that you want to say before you go?
I said it earlier. I really appreciate it. I know there's a lot of people that have nothing to do with fishing, and that logged in and watched the show, or would never have jumped on this podcast. So I appreciate all that support. I appreciate all my local people that jumped on, all the SEKK guys, and this was fun. I appreciate it, John. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on.
You earned it, man. So thanks for coming, and we just might have to bring you on as a co-host. I like that idea. I'm kind of boring sometimes, so you bring a little different energy, and I think the guests appreciated it tonight.
Well, I had a blast. Thanks so much.
So, all right, man. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you out there at Perry.
Sounds good. See you then.
See ya. All right, guys. There you have it. That is Mike Marvel, also known as Drunkle Mike, and had to bust out a beer for that special occasion. He's a character, he likes having a good time, obviously, and he's been in the comments just like you guys, and he's been a supporter of the show. So I do definitely appreciate having him on, and appreciate all of you guys tuning in for this as well. This podcast has really done well. It's really grown the way that I had envisioned it as well. My idea for this channel was not to just blow up and, get a bunch of national recognition. My idea for this, at least this Behind the Reel podcast, was to grow it more organically. And we ended up naming the channel after this podcast. So before this podcast existed, we were not even Behind the Reel. We were under Kansas Kayak Fishing Kansas, I think. I don't know. I may have even just changed it to my name or something at one point. But we finally settled on Behind the Reel, and that was really in part of this podcast. Shout out to Jacob Ward for helping me get that started. Episode number 1 with him, another Southeast Kansas kayak angler and the originator of that group. And shout out to him for all of the help that he has given the Kansas Kayak Anglers with getting their inaugural season started. So today you heard from Mike Marvel, the winner of the very first ever Kansas Kayak Anglers event, and he won it with an impressive 92 inches at the Mineland Wildlife Area. So, guys, I'm going to sign off with that, and if you have not already done so, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you can tune in for the next one. Hit that notification bell. That'll help you out as well. And, guys, appreciate you. See you on the next one.